Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dads, listening to Tomcats, talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. This some weeding now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the Penny Bloom Podcast. This is the director's spotlight, and under that spotlight is Wes Anderson. Today we are talking Rushmore, premiered in the United States on October 9th, 1998. It was co-written by Wes Anderson and Owen Wilson and directed by Wes Anderson. I am Colton Robertson, and I am joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here, and I literally, at the very start of this, I just made the realization I had no idea that Max was played by Jason Schwartzman. Because when he came in as the nurse, I was like, kind of looks like him, and it is really weird, you know, kind of looks like him and whatever, but then he came in as like the nurse, and I'm like, oh, so yeah, that's not him or whatever, and then I had no idea the whole time, until just now, that was actually him. That's, wow, okay, I don't know. What? Wait, no, that even isn't him, the nurse.
No,
Luke.
It can't be.
That's Luke. Oh, so this is just him. Young. This is a
young Jason Schwartzman. He is 18 years old.
Oh my god, I'm just dumb. This came out in 98. Yeah,
we went back. We went back in time.
Wow.
We started. We just did French Dispatch last. It was 2021. We're taking it back 23 years.
Oh my god.
Jason Schwartzman plays Max here, the main character of Rushmore. Gotta regain your bearings, huh?
Yeah, I do. I was like, because I liked his performance a whole lot, and I'm like, man, this guy's really good. It's just some child actor. I don't know.
Yep.
And then
wow, Jason Schwartzman
makes a lot more sense now. I feel pretty dumb. And when I thought Jason Schwartzman walked in, it's not even him whatsoever. Not even
Luke Wilson.
Yeah, I don't even know why I thought. I don't know what I was thinking. I guess.
Hey, man, these things happen.
My bearings are set now. Anyway.
No, that's hilarious. But nah, man, so this is the only one besides the Royal Tenenbaums, which was a first viewing for me, and I've actually managed to watch it twice just to keep with the pace that we've been going at. You know, like you've been watching them one time before we talk, and every other one I've watched multiple times. So I was like, well, I can't break this streak. I've got to watch it a second time before we record, and I feel really, really good about it. You know, I'd kind of slept on this one because we got Bottle Rocket coming up on Friday, his feature film debut, which is by no means bad. I adore that movie. I love that movie, but it's far from what he becomes. You know, like there's an evolution in his filmmaking that like it's astounding to see. But I expected Rushmore to be more Bottle Rocket than I did like Moonrise Kingdom. I don't feel like the guy who made this made Moonrise Kingdom, you know, like, and I feel like you can get that from this, you know, and I think that's pretty impressive so early on in his career, and I think that I thoroughly enjoyed it. How are you feeling?
Yeah, no, this one was a lot more fun of a watch. I'd say. I mean, not that all of his other movies aren't fun; they definitely are. But this one, it was just a little more comedy focused. And I thought it was, you know, the situations were hilarious. Just Bill Murray just doing random shit, you know, him sprinting, like him, like, you know, I don't know, just running a wall, hopping the fence, just blocking the shit out of a little kid, dude. Just stuff in here that's actually just really fun. Like, I don't know, I really had a good time while watching, and then,
dude, yeah, it's
I don't know, he does the thing he always does, where I just think I'm watching a comedy movie, and then at the end, it's like, oh man,
this is getting me, huh?
Yeah, it's
no, yeah, man, I loved this shit, and it will certainly not be the last time I watch this movie. You know, there's something, just a little tidbit that's hilarious. Last night I was thinking about buying the movie on digital or renting it or something. but then I got tired and I decided not to. And part of that was because it was $18 to buy last night,
Oh, wow.
$5 and $4 to rent. And I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, no, I'm not going to, I'll just rent it tomorrow morning. I'll watch it and that'll be that. And then I woke up this morning and it was available to buy for $5. And I was like, you know what? Sometimes the universe just gives you a break, you know?
Wow.
Just waited that extra night and it dropped in price. And I was like, fuck yeah, not wasting this opportunity.
It knows. Yeah. That's very weird. Just
I don't
one
know.
night difference, and you basically bought it for as much as you would have rented it for. So
exactly. And I was like, well, thank God I didn't rent it the night before and just went ahead and waited. But yeah, man, it was fruitful. It was very, very enjoyable. And I adore Jason Schwartzman. So like he's my latest crush as far as what I've been watching in the movies lately. You know, ever since Darjeeling Limited, I've been like, oh my God, I fucking love Jason Schwartzman. You know, I adore Jason Schwartzman. And it was so cool to go back in time with him after we've watched Darjeeling and, you know, most recently French Dispatch, where he was the illustrator and stuff, and then to go all the way back. And I know he's damn good in Darjeeling, but this is probably his best role out of the Wes Anderson movies.
Yeah,
which is kind of crazy.
I mean, I was going with him for performance before I even knew it was Jason Schwartzman.
Yeah.
And then I don't know, I've come to that realization. Maybe it just makes more sense. But no, this is, I think I prefer this role over his role in Darjeeling. I think I appreciate the character more maybe in Darjeeling, just like his character moments that he had, they're all made up character. You know, I guess he just didn't really have to do a whole lot in Darjeeling. But here, I mean, being the lead, he definitely did a very good job, and he kept me in the whole time. And yeah, I really, really liked him in this, and I'd agree. I think this is his best, and makes sense he kept him along, you know.
Absolutely.
For his next projects, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. No, I adore that guy, and I thought he was fantastic in this, and it's part of why I'm so excited to see him as, like, I think he's being billed as the lead in Asteroid City. So, 25 years later, after Rushmore, he's going to be the lead once again in some Wes Anderson movies, which I absolutely love. But, you know, we also got a few highlight performances. You know, it was a little bit, I kind of had no doubt about Jason Schwartzman being my performance, but Bill Murray did fucking outstanding. Olivia Williams is wonderful in this movie as Rosemary.
Yeah, that little love triangle that we got going on, you know. I mean, it is weird, I guess, every time, like when you're a kid, there's probably one teacher you've always had a crush on, but it's always just it's just out there, you know it's not actually going anywhere or whatever, but then you just see someone taking it to the absolute extreme and trying
Max
to,
here.
Yeah, and I don't know, I think, like, at first it seemed that he was just trying to be friendly, and that was it, but then it just took a little different turn.
Oh, dude! As soon as he approached her on the bleachers, I was like, "Oh, this man's trying to mac."
That's true.
He's trying to get it. He's trying to get it in. But what I do appreciate about this movie, and what I was like, it's possible to do a story like this where one character is much older than the other and pull it off in a way that's kind of like, oh, okay. I guess then, like, Licorice Pizza is a very recent example of a movie where one of the people's in high school and one of them's like 25, and somehow they managed to make me kind of okay with the story they tell. And it's a damn good movie. So I was curious if we were heading that route. You know, if we were actually going to get this interesting relationship between a teacher and a student. What I did really appreciate is that it was never even close to on the table for the teacher, which is the way I would like it to go for Miss Cross, you know.
The most that ever happened was just a little kiss, you know, and it was after she
very
thought he
one-sided.
got hit by a car, and then, you know, like it, so I mean, yeah, was nothing.
She immediately pulled away, didn't even kiss back. So I was like, it was never even close to being attraction doesn't even begin to enter it, as she puts it earlier on in the movie. But yeah, it's a really sweet movie, man. Like and like I said, Moonrise Kingdom is oddly enough the easiest comparison to make because it is about a younger guy who's figuring out figuring out feelings basically about love and how he's supposed to love and who he's supposed to love and stuff. And the idea that he carries himself like an adult. That's how he wants to present himself. That's how he goes about doing things, which I think is very similar to our dude Sam back in Moonrise Kingdom. They think of themselves as much older than they are, and then they get told like, "But you are a child," and he's like, "But God damn, man, I saved Latin. What did you do?" Like that.
There's just some people have old souls, like there's just some people that have better company with older people. And like I have a cousin who's, I think he might be graduating high school this year, but like all throughout high school and middle school, he like hung out with my grandpa and like his like would golf with my grandpa and his friends more than he would hang out with like his actual like middle school or high school friends and stuff.
That's funny.
And like it's some people are just kind of, I don't know,
they're just like that,
built that way. Yeah, everyone's a little different. And
I respect the shit. I like Max a lot, like as a character in general. I know, like, and it's easier to like a character who is like this at 15 than they are at 25. Because he is figuring stuff out, because he is a kid, and like he continuously fucks up. He continuously does stuff that's like, dude, come on now, you can't do that. But he doesn't know that yet. Like that's the key here is that like there's when he goes to the public school, Grover Cleveland or whatever, and he gives the speech and he's like, "I know you guys think I've lived a sheltered life, but I promise I wasn't fed with a silver spoon." He has lived a sheltered life, relatively, like I know his father's a barber and he puts on like he's richer than he is.
Mm-hmm.
But in going to a private school of that caliber and stuff, for a large section of your life when you're a kid, that is your life. You might go home and do your homework and go to sleep. But to be in a private school like that, he was living relatively sheltered, and then to kind of get a taste.
He's still wearing his uniform, his Rushmore uniform at school. And, he loved Rushmore, he really, really loved it. And I love the, like the montage of all of his clubs that he was in or that he started.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just really interesting that like all these movies, all of Wes's movies, they always like just make me think of my own life and stuff like that. I was like, was I really that big of a nerd in high school? Because Max is portrayed as quite the nerd, and it's not. I don't think he would take offense to that. People who are nerds, it doesn't really matter whenever you're called a nerd. But like in high school, I started chess club. We didn't have one, and I was like, yeah, fuck it, we're starting a chess club because I just want to play chess. Ping pong club, I helped start, out of nowhere with doors in the back behind of, the gym with some rackety ass wooden boards that we set. It was like terrible, but it was
the shit though.
In middle school, I started video game club, and we actually brought in Game Cubes and like Nintendo 64 and just play like retro games and stuff like that. And I don't know, I realized like that was actually probably the most fun parts of school was nothing related to school whatsoever. Just whenever you found a group of people that like to do something you like to do as well, and I guess I didn't play sports. Having a sports team, that's just very, that's like,
it's built in,
That's like, it's a whole family that, like I don't know, it's really, really fun to have a sports team.
Oh yeah. I mean, extracurricular wise, when I was like, we talked for the French Dispatch at nauseum for the newspaper stuff, but when it came to newspaper, we shared a lab with the yearbook. And so there's a lot of input I had on our yearbook that like I definitely didn't get credit for because I was not on yearbook, like I was just there and I helped them whenever they needed help and stuff. But like baseball, football, I didn't start ping pong club, but I was sure as shit in it, and there's a lot of stuff that like I loved the extracurricular stuff, man. And that's why instantly I was like, okay, yeah, I fuck with this. But that was the other thing is that I never, I never let it affect the rest of my, my schooling,
That's
because
true.
I wasn't in fucking 12 of them at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, that's
Yeah,
a
fair.
different breed.
And I don't know, it is very interesting that you get the idea that he would have been a very, very good student off the beginning. You know, it opens with him dreaming about solving, you know, the hardest of geometry.
Him going full Will Hunting on that chalkboard there.
And you know, that's not the case. You know, he's very interested in a lot of different things, and his grade stuff for sure. But they call him like one of the worst students they have. You know, which is very interesting. Like, if anything, he's probably better than 90% of the other people there, just not academically. You know,
just
like
not the grade wise. You know,
everyone has their own strengths. But look what he did. He saved Latin. You know,
he saved Latin, man, and
he wrote a hit play. Is that what he called? Yeah, I wrote a hit play. And
even when he goes to Grover Cleveland, he changes the kind of culture there a little bit. Yeah. Like he finds someone that's going to roll with him as an assistant. They put on a play. They have this grand, you know, he puts together the what was it, Kite Club? Like that's awesome, man. And he
at first, whenever he's giving his speech in front of the public school kids, I was like, oh God, this is just not going to go. You know, like someone's going to throw something at him. I'm like, oh God. But then afterwards, when you see
Margaret.
Yeah, Margaret come up to him, it was like he found exactly the kind of people, you know, that like, if he didn't do that, she would have never gone up to him and like, I don't know, like she probably just been like, new student, you know, whatever. But like him speaking that way was, I don't know, he found his kind of people through that, you know,
but he found his people, but he still didn't look at them as his people yet. You know, like he had
still only focused on one thing.
There's still this he's got this drive for Miss Cross and Miss Cross only, but there's also a factor to him when he goes to the public school where I think he still kind of thinks he's above everyone else and that like he will eventually find his way back to Rushmore somehow. Like I don't think it's fully set in that expulsion means you don't come back. You know, he even leaves school, rides his bike straight over to Rushmore multiple times. Like that's his life, man. And I just thought it was super cute. You know, I thought that he kind of represents a cool naivete in the youth of like what you think is important and what, you know, at that time in your life is important. You know, like it's the connections you make, the relationships you form and stuff. When you're that age, you know, he focuses on just that though. You know, that's all he thinks about.
He could have done a little better in school, but I don't know. I'd say he's gaining a lot more experience than other people would. You know, certainly. Look what he's done. He's a beekeeper. He's a fencer. He was on the wrestling team as an alternate.
Yeah.
Let's see. I mean, I don't know.
Editor of the newspaper, flies kites.
There you go. And eventually got like a little internship actual job, you know, out at whatever.
Bloom.
Yeah, like what kind of, I don't know, just like a construction company or like
kind of like some sort of construction business or something like that.
25.
How much are you worth? 10 million?
Good.
We're going to need all of it.
We're going to need all. Yeah, it's like, well, this dude has dreams, you know. He has aspirations.
Him agreeing to build an aquarium privately and not running it by the school at all. Hilarious.
$8 million too. Yeah, he's like, I spent $8 million on this. Oh my God. And I don't know, the first time he got stopped, you know, just because it was just him doing it on his own. But then just because Bill Murray's there, I guess the school, I don't know, was the school like...
I think the school was in on that one, but I do think there was some stipulation too where they were like, well, they never ran it by the city, so...
Oh, okay.
They didn't give the plans to the city, so we don't know if that's even going to happen. But I love the way they play with the idea that like friendship doesn't know age. You know, like ultimately, what we settle on with Miss Cross and Max here is that like they do have a friendship. You know, like that they did form a bond that is very possible for people to make with people who are 10 to 15 years older than you. That's more than possible, you know? And, but look at him with his first grade best friend, the kid he regards as his best friend, and then the other kid the other man he regards as his other best friend probably is got to be every bit of 50. And Bill Murray, like there's just a broad range of ages, and it kind of puts forth this idea that no matter what age you are, you kind of long for that connection, and you kind of long for friends. You want a friend to have to talk to, and whenever you face that betrayal, that you're not betrayal, but like a smite that your friend might happen upon you at some point, how devastating that can be. And the cascade of events that happens when, the little kid tells Max that Bill Murray's having an affair with the teacher, and he's like, oh man, but then he gets told that Max said he got a hand job from his mom, and everything that intersects there at that point in the movie is absolutely hilarious. And the way it literally ruins a man's marriage, tears apart his life. Miss Cross has to quit her job. There's like
actual huge, like, I don't know, what's the
retributions?
Yeah, like just absolutely like 3 lives were kind of ruined. His whole life was Rushmore. Can't go there anymore. Miss Cross was one of the best teachers they had there, according to them. I don't know if that's just his bias, but she seems like a resigned teacher.
Yeah.
And then Bill Murray, he's no longer married, and I guess he's being sued for divorce. I thought that was hilarious. A funny way to put it.
Being sued for divorce.
Is that actually like legally correct?
Technically what divorce is. Like
I guess true. Yeah.
Like someone has to present divorce papers. You are being served divorce papers. It's technically suing someone.
I've never heard it that way before. I don't know. It was like, well, I guess technically, yeah.
I suppose that's true.
But I don't know. I think Bill Murray's like side of it was actually really like Max. It seemed he just wanted friends with anybody. He could just make friends with anybody almost. But Herman was really interesting that I don't know, his sons weren't exactly like the sons that he wanted. He even says it like I never thought that my sons would be like this, and you can kind of tell that he wanted more of a Max, and that's why he kind of took the liking to him, and
vice versa for Max too. You can tell that he kind of has this sort of resentment for his dad throughout the movie for being poor, not having money, and then he finds Herman, who has a lot of money, and is treating him like a friend, like a son or whatever. And so like they kind of find that in each other, but then they have to learn to accept their states, their way of being. And part of that is when he introduces his father to him, and he's like, this is my dad. He's not a neurosurgeon. He's a barber. Yes, he works with sharp tools near people's heads, but it's not the exact same thing.
I mean, isn't hair just an extension? I guess just an extension of your brain.
It's a form of surgery.
Well, yeah, I guess it's a procedure. I don't know.
It's a relatively painless.
No, that was
his dad.
Yeah,
Bert was a good dude.
Like it's crazy that it's just a story of this crazy love triangle that shouldn't even really exist in the first place. But then you have all these, actual character interactions that, you actually think his dad is a neurosurgeon at first. And when we find out he's a barber, it's like, oh, whoa. And then you get to see Bill Murray find, everyone else kind of find out, which is really cool. And then just how everyone's life is just being so, ruined, and Bill Murray, you can just see he doesn't care anymore. His hair's getting long, and it's perfect that his dad is a barber. So he actually freshened up and
presents him the pins he got from Rushmore. That was a cute moment. I loved that.
That was nice. I thought a good little, after they just got done trying to kill each other, basically.
He got his brakes, bro. That's so fucked up.
Have a tree land on him and flatten him out. Dude was actually trying to really kill him. Sticked a bunch of bees in his hotel room.
War does crazy things to a man.
Yeah, I guess Bill Murray, he only ruined one bike. Let's see, what else did Bill Murray do?
Well,
to
that's the
Max.
thing is that he didn't have to do a lot.
That's
As
true.
Miss Cross puts it, like, what kind of person destroys a 15-year-old's bike? You know, like, you gotta. He's a little immature, you know, the way that they put it, like later on in the movie, whenever he's faked getting hit by a car and he uses that bike, and she's like, you know what, you and Herman deserve each other. You're both little children, you know, and he reacts in a way that is childlike, you know. As the grown man, you're supposed to be like, hey man, stop fucking with me like that, okay?
Yeah.
You already got me divorced and kicked out of my home.
Yeah.
That's enough. You know,
My kids hate
you don't need to fill my room with bees. You know, like that's when you talk to him. You don't just destroy his bike.
Mm.
Even though that is kind of a hilarious retribution.
Man, yeah, it was, I don't know, and even them meeting the, like, I don't know, was it the dean or like the just Dr. Nelson, you know, after he had his
Yeah,
stroke in the
Guggenheim.
hospital. Yeah, and they, you know, he sees him first, you know, Max sees him first, he's up there, he's headed back down, they meet in the elevator, you know, he's like, hey amigo, and he's just pouring an airplane shot in his beer, you know, just kept drinking more, smoking 2 cigarettes at the same time, like, it's
in
like
a hospital.
Yeah, like, and then, you know, after he finds Bill Murray sneaking out, you know, at 2 a.m. He's just sitting in the back of his car just smoking. You see Bill Murray like look up like at his like roof, like, is he really fucking smoking in here? Is he serious right now? You know, like all these little moments that are just, I don't know, it's more just the situations that are funny the whole time, and it's not like things that are said. It's just
No, because like there's a lot of stuff in this movie that's, I mean, in classic Wes Anderson fashion, pretty tragic, you know. Her husband drowned and his mom died of cancer and all that sort of stuff. And they kind of dwell on a lot of that for most of the movie, because in a similar way that Darjeeling Limited is like more literally about letting go of their baggage. You know, this is much more metaphorical in its execution of it. You know, there's by the end of the movie, whenever he is laying on her bed, and you know, she says something about how Ed Appleby, was that his name, right? Ed Appleby.
I think so. That sounds right.
Edward Appleby. He had more creativity in one fingernail than Herman Bloom has in his entire body. And Max goes, one dead fingernail. And she like that was one of my favorite scenes, because the way she starts crying and is like, yeah, one dead fingernail. You know, I reacted when Max said that as like, oh no, don't say that. But she takes it as kind of a like, yeah, I guess I do kind of need to realize that, because she didn't even refer to Edward in the past tense.
Mm-hmm.
Edward Appleby has more creativity in one fingernail than, you know, and it's like,
and I wonder how long ago that their relationship was, because it seems that like she's still living in his childhood room, you know, and she was like, I'm only house sitting, you know, like it seems that like maybe they were together like a long time ago, because it was still a twin bed, you know, and he had airplanes in his room, stuff like that.
They did get
married.
He was her husband.
That's true.
And he died a year ago. So it's still relatively fresh.
Okay.
Which is why, like, I can't blame her for the way she, like, I would never be like, oh, you got to move on. Like, I sure as shit wouldn't, you know? Like,
I just didn't catch the timeline of it then.
Yeah, I think Max asks at some point, when did he pass away? And she says a year ago.
I think it is right in the bedroom. I think it is right, maybe in that scene. Or maybe it is.
I think it's earlier, whenever they're like looking, it's like one of their earlier interactions where they're like cleaning out the little fish tank, which inspires him to build a giant aquarium.
Right. That's right. Yeah.
Hilarious. You know, like that line whenever he's like, would Edward have built you an aquarium? And
I think so.
She's like, he would have if he had the money.
Mm-hmm. Man, yeah, and I don't know, like it was, everyone had their own thing that they needed to let go of, and like she just, I don't know, a year is pretty quick though. That's very true. Like, I don't know.
No, especially suddenly, apparently he drowned. You don't exactly expect that.
Like Miss Cross's trauma was very, very real and very, I think a lot more legitimate than Max's, you know, just just long lost love for, something that's never going to happen, and just complete, whenever he can't get it, he's like, well, then I might as well just ruin everything now. My life's over. I'm taking everyone down.
I think there's something important that I didn't really consider on my first watch that kind of bleeds through a little bit more on a rewatch is the importance of Max's mom having died when he was 7. Perhaps plays into why he latched onto an older woman, and when she refuses his, vies for affection, he's like, well, no, no woman in my life sticks around. I'm fucking done. A little bit of a Freudian thing going on there. Just a bit.
I really thought it was going to go down more the line of like, Max was going to try to get with Miss Cross, and it was never going to work. But Herman would actually, develop somewhat of a relationship. But I thought it was like Max was going to be kind of the glue between them, having kind of like a, not their own kid at all, but like just the commonality between them, And there was like a moment when they were like sitting. They were somewhere. Max, he always gets them together somehow, whether they want to or not, but they're always like together. And it's whenever they're actually doing pretty well all together at one point. And then it's Bill Murray and Miss Cross sitting in their chair. And then Max like walks off to go do something. And they just like kind of watch him and they're happy, like looking at him doing things. And it seemed like a really like cute parent moment.
Oh yeah, they've got a mutual respect for Max because like they both know that he's been through shit, They both know that he's a troubled kid, and they want to see him succeed. He's just self-destructive at points. And so like at the end, man, like I can't express enough how much the last play, like that whole thing, like that's the part in this movie that makes me cry. Like whenever they step outside for the intermission and they're like hanging out together and they're talking about it, and Bill Murray says like, it's good. I just hope it has a happy ending. And she like strokes his head and like scratches his hair and stuff. Like I remember I was just like, oh, and then they go back inside, and that's where my favorite line actually comes in. Is actually a part of the play because you can tell very, very autobiographical, sort of a like in parallel to his real life experiences with them. He says, maybe we'll meet again someday when the fighting stops. That's my favorite line of the movie because
doesn't Bill Murray like kind of
he cries at that line.
And I was like, oh, that was, I was trying to think if that was,
I don't know what it is about Bill Murray crying, dude. I think he just has this aura of intense sadness.
If he's sad, it just, I'm sad with him. I don't know. Every time. Like, I guess whenever
he's such a funny and usually brightly attituded guy, he's typically pissy, he can be angry and stuff, but he's always funny about it. So whenever he softens up and like starts crying, bro, that shit gets me. And I don't know.
Maybe the extreme of that is like, imagine Robin Williams sad.
Yeah.
You're like, but no, if he's sad, you're automatically like, I think that's just like the extreme. But Bill Murray's like
the vibe. That's the vibe.
Like close to it, you're like in Life Aquatic, he was just very kind of upbeat and everything. But then I wonder
if it remembers
like
me.
It just like I don't know. It just out of nowhere just gets you.
And so that was why I put that line. It's just because I loved Bill Murray's reaction to it because he cares about this kid a lot and he cares about Miss Cross a lot. He says at one point he's like, she's my Rushmore. Like I do love her. Yeah,
that was my favorite line. After the attempted murder with the tree that eventually does fall over. But he stopped. He didn't quite follow through with his plan. But she's my Rushmore, but then like his response, he's like, I know.
She's mine too.
She was mine. I think he says she was mine too. Like he's, I don't know. I don't know if he fully let go at that point,
Right.
But he's getting there, almost.
I'm pretty sure he goes to her place like immediately after that.
That's true. Yeah. So not
I think it was like one last Hail Mary. He was like, I'm going to try it. And like a hilarious Hail Mary at that. nobody who gets hit by a car happens to have a ladder and climbs up to a window. You knock on the fucking door, man.
And then has a cassette in his jacket that he pops in the drill dresser. You know, like, oh, dude, no, I'm pretty sure that was my favorite scene. Just like,
it's great.
It was funny, and then it actually, like, when they were like actually talking there for a minute, got a little real, and then like, and then it was, oh my god, this is fake blood, you know, like I can't, but geez, I'll show you the door. I'll just go out the window, like, I don't know, I loved everything about that scene, and then, you know, you get to really see Miss Cross, like what she's holding on to, like she's still living in that room, you know, hasn't touched a thing, you know, really everything is still the same as it was, and I don't know, I really. I would like to meet Edward
Appleby.
Appleby? Yeah, I don't know. He seemed like a pretty cool guy.
Seemed like a great guy, you know. And there is, you know, you mentioned how it seemed like it might have been a long time ago because she's in his childhood bedroom and stuff. And I think more than anything, that's just emblematic of the fact that, you know, you're never more alive than you are when you are a child. Your passions are never greater. What's reminding her of that is Max, you know, like the way Max is acting is reminding her of what Edward must have been like when he was a child. So returning to his childhood bedroom kind of gets her in contact with that sort of energy that she needs to be tapped into in that moment. And I love it, man. Like that was a great scene. I absolutely adore it. I ended up going with the sabotage montage. Just because that's where we get the classic Wes Anderson slow motion needle drop moment where he like walks out of the elevator with the bees in his hand and he's like, he puts the gum on the wall and he keeps walking and stuff.
He's a bad boy now, you know, he's done. He's not a goody two shoes anymore.
It ends with him being arrested and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is dope as fuck. This is my favorite scene. Cause that's hilarious. It's, you know, that's kind of the turning point, you know, you start this movie, you get 30 minutes in, and I'm pretty sure at 30 minutes or around there, they've finished the first play and they've gone to dinner and he's been like, cause I'm in love with you. And, and then everything changes from then. And I remember checking the runtime and being like, God damn, there's still an hour left in this movie, man. I felt like we were getting to the culmination of this story. And then for them to keep progressing it and for him to strain his relationship thereafter with Herman and for Herman and her to start bonding and everything. Like it's a really good story, man. And I think that, I'm not sure where it falls on my Wes ranking. It's kind of an interesting one where I know I like it. It's sad. I don't know if it's just, The Royal Tenenbaums was the first in this project, and it's been a while since I watched it, but I'm more confident than ever that was 8 out of 8 on the original. Maybe 9 out of 10 now that we're getting here. I need to rewatch Bottle Rocket. We'll see.
This one was a delight. Definitely.
I like it, man.
I think I just, you know, every time you go in with just lower expectations, it's you know, it always, it can only get better from there.
Right.
You know, and after seeing like, what Wes has worked towards in the French Dispatch, and now all of his stuff has been culminating into there. That was really, really cool, and like I really, really like that. But there's something that's very interesting to see, you know, where he's starting out and how, I don't know, you can still tell there's things in here that I don't know, I just don't think he fully let go yet, you know, or like fully allowed himself to I don't know, maybe he didn't think that his style would be like accepted, you know, in the movie industry quite, you know, necessarily. And he was like, I don't know if that was it or if he's just, this is his early making.
You know, there's also the possibility he hadn't fully realized it, you know, because there's elements, there's like flashes, you know, you see it and you're like, oh, that shot it's on its way to being what it ends up being. There's this moment where when he does ride his bike over from Grover Cleveland to Rushmore and he like slides through the gate.
Yes.
And it says Rushmore right there. I'm like, that's peak. There's a shot where when he's on the phone and he's on the far left third of the screen and the wall takes up most of it, where again, I'm like very, very showing those flashes of what he will become. But
whenever he goes over on the bike and says that he's in the car crash, the bike is perfectly in the spot, in a spotlight on the road, just like perfectly lit, and he's like centered, like with the sidewalk of the house. And I don't know, that I was trying to think of like my favorite shot, and there was it's obviously not like a visual focused movie, like not the focus of this at all.
It's still a good looking movie though, like there's a difference between a movie that's like like The French Dispatch, where it is very rhythmic and there's like a visual beat to it where it's all moving at a certain pace. This is more on the end of being, it looks more like a normal movie, but a good normal movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, this looks better than most Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Like, in the dull moments, when it's not some grand fucking space battle or something.
Ooh.
There's some good fucking shots in this.
Kind of looking just through the pictures on IMDb now, and I forgot about this one. Whenever they took like their first walk, he went over there and he was like, "Were we supposed to go to the museum today?"
Sidewalk and the roads and the trees there. Yeah,
I know that is really, that might, I don't know, that might be it. The one that I remembered the most was like just after the play, like his last play.
Yeah, the dance and everyone in the frame.
It was so. I mean, it's kind of like a feel good shot as well. It's not just like the shot itself that is looking good, but it was like you just have everyone there. Bill Murray's dancing with Max's girl. Max is dancing with it. Like everyone, but it's fine. Everyone's
they roll in Guggenheim in his wheelchair and stuff from stage left, and you're like, all right, yeah.
No, it was good. Everyone's here and everyone's happy and no one's mad at each other anymore. Yeah, it was perfect. And
that's a great ending, man. Like, when you look back, it is interesting to think about which of these movies have like the best endings. Not just critically, but like the ones where you end up going like, yes, that was a good fucking ending. I think The Life Aquatic has one of those. I think The Darjeeling Limited has one of those. I think this has one of those.
Oh yeah, no, this ending, if it didn't end like this, I mean, it was already pretty good, but the ending really, really made the movie. Like
it anchors the enjoyment factor for sure.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's like the ending of French Dispatch. When everyone's all together. There's no death in this one that brings everyone together. And
right.
But seeing everyone like in that editor's room, just kind of talking it out was kind of the same feeling of the post play on the dance floor. It's like we have everyone here and everyone's.
It's funny to think back to French Dispatch too, where like Jason Schwartzman's role in that, the illustrator, it's the only guy Bill Murray like tears into during that movie, where he's like, "I told you I wanted a roasted turkey, not whatever the fuck you're doing." It's funny to think of the history that these actors have together. Going all the way back to 1998, Bill Murray and Jason Schwartzman here, like it's kind of incredible, and to have that storied of a career kind of alongside someone. I know Bill Murray was well established come this movie. He was a very, very established comedic actor. He'd been in Caddyshack and Scrooged and fucking Groundhog Day. Like he'd done plenty of work by here. So he kind of provides this like seasoned like presence that the movie kind of needs. I make this comparison whenever a movie it has someone who kind of anchors a young cast. Alec Guinness in Star Wars: A New Hope. That's he's the guy who's providing the legitimacy, so to say, to that role, and that's what Bill Murray's doing here. Because this was Jason Schwartzman his first credit.
Wow.
This was the first thing he ever did.
Dang, that makes it even better. Like his performance stand out even more. Like that's, I don't know. It makes sense that he stuck around with them because he, I mean, he kind of plays. I don't know. In Darjeeling, he's kind of, I don't know, maybe like just a grown up Max.
Right,
like,
right.
A little bit. Like not. I guess that to that degree, but I don't know. I kind of see the similarities in their roles there, but no, Max, at least on my first watch, I really liked his performance, and I think the only other person who would get performance for me would be Olivia Williams as Miss Cross. And she was really, really close, especially like that single tear that rolled down her face,
Mm-hmm.
like or whenever she started getting emotional, and whenever even in the like her classroom, whenever she's getting everything out, and she's like, "So what? Where do you think this is really going to go? You want to tell the kids that what you fingered me? What I give you one hand job and all this ends? You know, I don't know, like getting very.
What, what do you think we're gonna fuck? And he's like, I wouldn't. Or like, what do you think we're gonna have sex? And he's like, oh. That's not how I'd put it. And he's like, well, that's how you'd put it if you'd ever fucked somebody. And she
really talk to him like an adult there, you know.
And
like,
he like kind of backs down and he like cowers, and it kind of puts him in his place. It reminds him that he's a child. You know, he is young. He's you know, and I really appreciated that moment. That was a good one. You know, and she's well deserved. Like that's the thing, is that all three of the leads here could 100% see. Jason Schwartzman, Olivia Williams, and Bill Murray. Bill Murray is fantastic in this as a supporting role. Like just the presence he has on screen is so inherent. Like you mentioned it at the very top of the episode. Whenever he jumps that fence, picks up the phone call and starts talking to him, he's like, she's not even all that, man. Yeah, she's cool. She's not that pretty. She's not that interesting. Sure, she has something that you can't really put your finger on. And then he's like looking through the window at her, and you're like, oh, he's trying to ward him off a little bit, but he like tosses a kid's shit on the basketball court, just absolutely chucks that shit.
Man.
Oh God, it was so funny, man.
Like just behind the tree, like, you know, peeking around and then going quick back, hiding, like acting like she didn't see him at all. And then he like comes around. He's like, Max, you wanted to talk to you, or, you know, whatever. And I don't know what was up with the scene when he was just at the pool throwing golf balls in the pool, and then like just goes up on the diving board, jumps in. You know, like nothing. Like that was just it. I don't know. It was just like he was. It was.
Well, what's interesting too is that comes before he's kind of realized feelings for Miss Cross. So my money is that, like, I mean, to have an affair, you are either a serial adulterer or you're severely unhappy in your home life. You know, he doesn't like his kids. He's made that known. We don't even meet his wife, save for the scene. Like, I don't think we know he has a wife until it's like a revelation that he's cheating on her. Like, she's not even mentioned until someone goes, he's having an affair. And you're like, oh, he's married. Wow, that recontextualizes kind of everything. You know, like, so I think it kind of emphasized just how unhappy he was. Like, it's kind of doing these pointless little actions. There's also like, they're at a birthday party and golf balls sink. So they could be about to play a game where you like dive in and search for golf balls and whoever gets the most, like that sort of thing. But I like to think of it as more just like he's just doing something. Like he's just fuck this.
I mean, he does, while he's climbing the ladder, he does, you know, down his drink, take the last little puff, and then just jumps in.
Or maybe it's supposed to be like a cover. Like, you know, he's about to go jump in the water and just sit under there for as long as he can. Maybe he wants everybody to think he's looking for the golf balls, you know. But he just sits down there, you know.
He just didn't want to hear. He just didn't want to just be a part of anything, you know. Like people are having fun right now. I don't feel that way. I'm just gonna sit.
And his kids are exactly the type of people I want to have a crossbow.
Oh God, yeah, no. Yeah, these kids are. I don't know. You think, like, whenever. I guess I don't know. He did get kind of physical with them, you know, in the car. Like after he was talking to Max, like Max was in the front seat, he out, and then the boys come up, push him out of the way, and like they just get in the car, and you know, one of the boys is, I think he says something about Max. Like,
he's like, do you want to invite him to your birthday party this Sunday? And they go, no, Max, no. And then the kid in the back goes, get your head out of your ass, Dad.
That's right.
And he shoves him to the back of the car. Which, I mean, my dad was far from abusive. But if I had told him, get your head out of your ass, I'd have got it. That's
Yeah, that's there's no shot I'm talking to my parents like that. Like that I don't know. I don't know. I've never I don't even want to know what would have happened. I
never
like
even considered it.
just like no chance that like I could even do that. But I mean, it makes sense that they are kind of troubled kids as well because their home life obviously isn't good. He does eventually have an affair, and that doesn't just happen overnight. So you got to assume their home life already was struggling a bit, and I don't know. It was, but really nice just to see like him and Max eventually get, become friends again. And I don't know. I think it was that moment at like the barbershop whenever he's like, "Here's my perfect attendance pin," and the punctual. I forgot what I think it was called, the punctuality or something like that pin. And when they made up and he gets them all groomed up, ready for the play and everything like that. And I don't know, it was just, everything came together so nice at the end. I'm like, how is this going to be wrapped up? Like, everything's so bad right now. Like, so many lives have been wrecked. And like, how is this wrapped up nicely? Where is the happy ending? Whenever, like, I don't know. But then they got there.
They do it.
Yeah.
They do it. I want to steer back to the twins and their relationship to Bill Murray real quick, just because I read some trivia just now, which is absolutely hilarious. Bill Murray actually found the actors who played the kids extremely annoying as the movie counterparts were, and much of his insults at them were improvised.
Wow, he was speaking from the heart, I guess.
Yeah.
He was method acting there a little bit.
But there's also like that's a little bit of a dick move. But there is some really cool other stuff about Bill Murray here. On the first day of principal photography, Wes Anderson had given his directions to Bill Murray in like a hushed whisper, he didn't want to seem like he was stepping on Bill Murray's toes, because Bill Murray at this point is kind of a comedy legend. Like he's very, very well renowned. And Wes Anderson, this is his second feature film, so he's kind of timid in his direction of him. But graciously, Bill Murray deferred publicly to Wes Anderson. He was like, "Yeah, absolutely, man. I'll do whatever you want." He helped haul equipment, and when Disney denied the helicopter scene that would have cost $75,000, he gave Anderson a blank check to cover the cost.
Pretty badass.
Pretty cool. That's pretty cool of him, and it's clearly paid off. He's worked with Wes Anderson several times since, so he clearly enjoys working with him, and he clearly they found something here that I think is really, really cool.
Yeah, because I mean, in his later projects, it's clear, I guess I don't really know all the details and everything, but it seems that it's like it is a true honor to be a part of one of Wes's films, and in the early days, this is a second film, but he's not. I don't know. I don't think he's there yet. Probably. I don't. Are people wanting? Is his name? How big were these movies back in the whenever they came out? Because I still haven't watched Bottle Rocket yet.
Not particularly big. There's let's see. We could probably tell based off the box office here just how. Yeah, it cost $9 million, and worldwide gross $17 million. Opening weekend made $40,000. That's a pretty small opening, and
yeah, I guess 23, 25 years ago, so maybe a little bit more, but yeah, and then Bottle Rocket it made $560,000. It looks like.
So these are not massive movies by any means, and that was the thing about movie theaters once upon a time and studios, is that there was more opportunity to try things like this. Because I'm pretty sure Rushmore is, like I said, Disney denied.
Wow. Yeah, because there wasn't Indian Paintbrush. I was every West movie I've seen. Is that his studio? Is that
it's someone else's studio, but they started working with him on Royal Tenenbaums, and they just stuck with him forever. It was kind of like if you ever want to make a movie, we got you, sort of thing.
Okay, I see. Because I don't know, I was waiting for that to pop up. I just didn't know if that's always what he's worked with. But then, I don't know. I see how this one gave him some cred, though. You know, after this one was released, because then he made Royal Tenenbaums next. Like
Royal Tenenbaums was the next one, and actually Royal Tenenbaums. You know, I watched the trailer with Emily a few months back before we even considered starting this project because we were looking for a movie to watch. So we watched the Royal Tenenbaums trailer, and it was like from the creator of Rushmore. You know, like this was the hallmark of Wes Anderson at one point. It was like, oh shit, y'all better see Royal Tenenbaums. It's the guy who made Rushmore. You know, like that's kind of awesome. You know, and I'm sure that the cast itself kind of spoke for itself at that point. 2001. I mean, Owen Wilson's not a household name by any means by that time, but Gene Hackman certainly is, Bill Murray certainly is. Gwyneth Paltrow had already been in Seven several years earlier.
Yeah,
like
Gene Hackman, that was my grandpa's favorite actor, like out of like pretty much anybody. Like he always talked about Gene Hackman. So I mean like the people who bring the legitimacy to the to the movie and just launch everyone else. Like I love that he works with all the same people, and like that people, like it seems that they want to come back, and like they do love working on his movies. And
why
now,
wouldn't you, man?
Yeah, like it's so poetic, like having Jason Schwartzman be just his first role in Rushmore, and now he's leading Asteroid City. I didn't know he was the lead in Asteroid City.
I'm fairly certain most of the promotional material I see is him, and he is the top billed cast member on IMDb.
Wow. Okay.
Which is kind of crazy considering it's a cast with Scarlett Johansson and Tom Hanks and Bryan Cranston and all these guys who are typically larger movie stars, Steve Carell, Matt Dillon, like Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
But the top billed name is Jason Schwartzman. I'm pretty sure he's going to be the main character, which is like very, very cool. I'm very excited for that. And he deserves that shit, man. He's a very talented actor, and I think that Wes just knows how to get that out of him. He's been. What's funny is like rediscovering what I have seen Jason Schwartzman in after doing this project. Scott Pilgrim versus the World. He's the big bad villain at the end who put the control chip in the chick's neck and like uses the sword. He wears the silver blazer and stuff. That's Jason Schwartzman.
Wow.
There's all sorts of stuff where he's kind of popped up, and I've been like, oh shit, yeah, that was Jason Schwartzman, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, I mean, I can't believe I mixed up Jason Schwartzman and Peter, where like just Peter, that's
Luke Wilson.
Yeah, Luke Wilson. I can't believe that. I'm like, I don't know how that crossed my mind, and then I don't know.
It's cool that Owen Wilson wrote this movie, and isn't in it.
He wrote Rushmore?
Yep, co-wrote it with Wes Anderson, and Luke Wilson is in it, and the coach for the school for Grover Cleveland is their other brother, their oldest brother, Andrew Wilson. And I was like, he started talking, and I was like, that's gotta be Owen Wilson's brother. Doesn't quite look like him, but he had a little bit of the thing there, man. He had a little bit of the wow.
It's my baseball diamond. The coach, that guy.
Yeah. Yes.
So that's
or Rushmore, not Grover Cleveland.
Yeah, I didn't. Coach Beck. I didn't.
Andrew Wilson.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't make. Yeah,
he's also in Bottle Rocket. So Bottle Rocket has Owen Wilson, Luke Wilson, and Andrew Wilson. He worked with all three of them there.
Man, yeah, he's found his people. I guess
he has.
Max has found his people in the movie. Through all of his clubs and everything. But Wes has definitely done the same.
No, yeah, it's been a wonderful little ride here. We're one movie away from completing his prior filmography now, which is kind of astonishing. It feels like it's gone by very, very quick. Yeah. And we got Bottle Rocket on Friday, and then we're seeing Asteroid City on Sunday. And I'm excited for that, man. I'm more excited for Asteroid City than I've been for a movie in a while.
Yeah, I'm like, just to how. Seeing French Dispatch and how all of his stuff has come together, and just knowing that this is the next step in his, I don't know. I hope he just.
I mean, the trailer looks so intensely that,
Oh, I don't know. I've only watched the trailer one time, and that's all I want, because all of these movies I've gone in just blind, no trailer, no anything. Like, I think I've looked at the cast for maybe some of them before the movie, and that's it. But it's always a joy.
You know nothing about the premise for Asteroid City.
Yeah, no, I think
I have no interest in telling you some of the premise, because
when
I read the premise, I went, oh, like, it's kind of like a fuck yeah, like, I don't know, like, I'm absolutely in, though.
I don't even know if I've seen the trailer. I think I've just seen that little snippet that they released of him taking I think it's Jason Schwartzman taking a picture of Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah.
And like that's all I watched, but I didn't even really pay that close attention to it. Like, that's all I remember is him taking a picture and then her being like, "What are you?" I
looked at the cast list and I looked at a character name, Jeff Goldblum's character name specifically, and I went, "Huh?" And then I had to watch the trailer, and I was like, "That's gonna be fucking dope." So I won't spoil anything for you.
Should I not look? Maybe
I mean, like, I would. I think you'll only enjoy it more not knowing it. I'm kind of like, I don't mind knowing that sort of thing, but it looks like it's gonna be fun as fuck. So, like, I'm 100% down for it.
Yeah, I'll keep it in the
in
the background, because I don't know, that's how I've been doing all these ones, and I've always been delighted from every movie that I've watched so far from him. And I don't know, I like going into movies like that a lot more now. Just like, I don't need all these trailers. I don't want to know what the movie is before I go in. I just want to experience whatever they're wanting me to experience.
Right. No, man, I'm loving this watch through for Wes Anderson, and I'm a little disappointed we only have a couple left. I wish I just had an infinite supply of Wes Anderson movies, but from here on out, whenever he does release a movie, I know for sure I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be seated. So, like, that's a very, very good thing. And Rushmore, I mean, I was so overwhelmingly happy with it. But let's focus on the favorites for a second. I don't feel like we've gotten very specific with it yet. Just kind of talked through it a little bit. Let's start with favorite scene. Let's go over that one more time.
I think mine was either between just the ending, and his play, or I just really liked him in the bedroom after he faked the car crash. I thought just a lot of funny moments, emotional moments, and a lot of backstory that was really appreciated. I don't know, I just really liked him climbing up there, putting in the cassette tape, setting the mood, yeah, you're right. It was his one last Hail Mary at trying to do something. He sits in there, he's, oh, so this is where it all happens. Where what all happens,
I wouldn't know.
Yeah. I wouldn't. Yeah, it's just everything that, I don't know, was said there.
No, that's I'm gonna go with a different scene, but half-heartedly. That's that probably is the best scene of the movie, and it probably is my favorite. But just in the spirit of things, I'm gonna go the sabotage montage. That back and forth where they are just they're at war. War does strange things to men, as Max puts it later. Just hilarious, ratting to his wife. There's even a point where Dr.
too, like, you could see that he was trying to, like, he set up that sandwich date, whenever he was telling her the news, and, like, wasn't just trying to break the news. Like, his goal was probably, like, to try and do something, to say that, oh yeah, you got with my girl, look what I did, and then
That's funny. That's funny. Well, something that we didn't really speak to was Brian Cox as Dr. Guggenheim. I know we talked about it briefly, but Brian Cox, most recently famed for Succession, as he's a very, very prominent very prominent actor through all 4 seasons of that show. But that part where Max is like, "I'm just happy to inform you," and he's like, I never took you for an informant, Max. Like, he's a little disappointed that he's ratting, which is really funny, because it is counterintuitive to what Max's whole kind of presence was. He was a little revolutionary in his fight against the establishment sort of way, and I loved watching it, man. He was very funny, but for him to give in to his baser instincts and rat to his wife, and then put the bees in his hotel room, him run over his bike, him cut his brake line, just a hilarious sequence of events. that are that I couldn't help but love. So I went with that for my favorite scene.
Oh yeah, no, that's perfect. And I don't, I don't know. That was probably the most fun while watching the movie. Like I don't know. It was just a like the music too. I like there was
Oh, the
barely any.
music
I
in
don't
this
know.
movie
Yeah,
was brilliant, dude.
like barely any words through that, but just like the music was playing, you just saw their back and forth, and I don't know. It's just all of his music is done really well. Like
When he sits down with his mom's typewriter outside the graveyard and starts typing, and it's that John Lennon song, "Oh Yoko." Like, god damn, that was good.
Yeah, he always knows what music to put in his movies. They work so well for it. But yeah, no, I don't know. I felt like I'm just forgetting a scene though for some reason that I really liked, and it wasn't the ending. It wasn't the one or them in the bedroom. I don't know. Yeah, I don't.
I loved the phone call.
Maybe that.
That's
I
a
don't know.
brilliant one.
I guess
Whenever
that's
he's on the
watching
payphone at
it.
school
Yeah,
and the guy's like, or do you have a phone pass? And he's like, I'm on the phone. That's funny because Bill Murray's on the other end doing all the stupid shit he's doing. Like that's a great scene. The play itself is really good.
yeah. I think it might have just been the club montage that he had. Just showing all of his different things that he was into. But it was just kind of early on, and I didn't really,
Right.
really care as much as I did about him. It was just kind of showing you really who he was and how involved, he
Oh
was.
yeah.
But
Oh,
no,
and I love the resolution for Max, man. That's whenever he gets the standing O at his play and his dad's going, "That's my son, that's my son." I'm like, I'm tearing up, I'm crying because I'm like, you know what? Max deserves that. He does deserve this sort of love and reception because he's been through it, man. He's had a rough go of it. And
he sat, I always would just want to call him Bill Murray.
Herman.
Herman, yeah, he sits Herman and Miss Cross next to each other.
Yeah.
Oh, looks like Max pulled a fast one on us, and you just see
Always
everyone there that I don't know, that was kind of a good shot. It was like just a slow pan through everyone in the audience. You start with his dad, and then you get Miss Cross and Herman, and then Peter is there too. Let's see.
Yeah, he invited me. He told me to wear a tie.
Yeah, not his scrubs or whatever. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like your nurse outfit. That was actually pretty funny. Whenever he got drunk,
Yeah.
at that dinner, and he allowed him to
These are
have a drink.
OR scrubs.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I don't know. He
Oh,
always
are
has,
they?
yeah. Oh, yeah. Like and Bill Murray just like
Bill
breaking
Murray
up.
can't help but laugh in that
like,
moment. That's so funny, dude.
Oh man, yeah. I don't know. It's everything. Like this was definitely funny. Like a lot more funnier than his other movies.
Whenever the Scottish guy, we haven't even talked about the Scottish guy.
Yeah.
Whenever he shoots him at the end of the movie, he's like, "I've got one thing left to do," and he throws him a play, and he's like, "I've always wanted to be in one of your plays," and
I know.
he's like, "I know." Outstanding. I loved the kids chucking the rocks at him. I loved earlier in the movie when we hear the Scottish dude like not speak for the first time, but the second time, and he like yells at him. Because he's got Latin put back on the curriculum, and he's like, "Oh, what the fuck are you doing? Are you gonna fucking is that Latin?" Like that was hilarious.
I liked Dirk, his little younger friend.
Yeah, the first grader
Was always like him in the barbershop whenever he's there, like sitting there, and he slowly turns and looks at Max, and he's like, "Oh, hi, Max." Like he was like a first grader, but definitely an older soul.
Yeah, like it makes sense that's the first grader Max gravitated towards. He's like he does carry himself with a certain older essence. When he writes that letter, he's like, "I'm sorry to inform you." Since you're such a good friend, whenever he confronts Herman and is like, "Who needs friends when they're like you?" And he like spits on his car, and I'm like, you know what? Dirk's down to ride. I like Dirk.
Yeah, Dirk was he was a good friend. The whole time was very funny too, throughout the whole thing. But I don't know. I was trying to see if I could, because I don't know. I really don't like whenever it's performance and character they line up. But I think I don't know. I may just have to on this. I don't know. I really liked his perform. I didn't know it was him, and that I just still can't believe it didn't hit me that this is in '98 and it's just a younger Jason Schwartzman. But I was gonna go with him anyways, and then character, I was, just all the clubs that he was in, all the stuff, that he was experiencing. I don't know, it just got me to really think about my high school years and my, middle school years and stuff like that. And
he always has a good way of doing that, man.
Yeah, all the stories are made up, but they're all very, very real, and they're always, I don't know, I feel like they're open ended enough to where it's different for everybody. Everybody has a different viewing, and it's not like so specific that only a select few people are gonna like be hit by all the emotionals. Like, I don't know, like there's always something in his movies that it doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. It doesn't seem like there's a big theme or anything. It's just you're watching all these funny things unfold, and then by the end there, you're just like, wow, I really do care about all these characters, and wow, I'm crying now. Like what? Like having like I'm happy tearing. Like what's, I don't know. It's incredible how he does it. Like every time. Like and it takes me by shock every time, but it's happened every single movie. Like by now I just expect it. Instead of, but I don't know.
I don't know what, like there's like this overcoming of emotion that just kind of floods you at the end of these, that you're just kind of like, it's only happened a few times where I cry because of how good something is, not because of anything they like did or something that happened particularly, but like I'll just watch something unfold and it was so fucking well done that I'm like, everyone involved with this is so fucking talented. How is this real? And it kind of happens at the end of every Wes Anderson movie. Like the credits hit and I'm like, like, oh my God, I loved that, and this is brilliant for that reason. I don't, it'll be interesting to get to the ratings part of it, because like I still don't know exactly where I sit in comparison to everything else, so it's like it's going to be complicated. I'm interested to kind of get to that, but I did go with him for performance. I did go with him for performance. I love Jason Schwartzman as Max. I thought he was. I did not know this was his first acting credit.
I didn't even know it was him at all.
He pulled up to the audition. His audition for this movie, he was wearing a homemade blazer with a patch he sewed on himself for Rushmore Academy. Okay. That's what he pulled up to the audition in, and it changed his life.
They knew.
Now he's in every Wes Anderson movie,
Yeah, I'd say he probably looks back on this movie very fondly.
Oh, I got to imagine, dude. And the costume design and everything, all the different outfits he throws on throughout the movie, fucking flames.
Suede or whatever,
that green suede,
suit that he had, man, that, I don't know, was very clean.
That actually comes into play for my favorite shot whenever he's presenting the dedication for his latest opus, and he's like, "This is for Eloise Fisher, my mother," and it cuts to his dad, and his dad's like he kind of tears up for a second, and then he's like, "And for Edward Appleby, a friend of a friend," and I was like, oh my God, but the shot of him in the spotlight against the red curtain in his green suede suit, I loved it. I thought that looked really good. So that ended up being my shot and my performance. Love Jason Schwartzman, dude.
Yeah, my shot, I guess, is just, yours is the very beginning of the play, mine's the very end, or after the play's over. And just everyone on the dance floor all together. Just
hard
more
to deny that one. Yeah. There's another shot during the play that I was really close to picking, and it's during my line.
Is it?
Well, that too. Whenever it like fades into the silhouette, that's a really good shot. But whenever he says, "Maybe we'll meet again someday," when all the fighting's done, and he like throws up the peace sign, and the contrast to the background and stuff. Like, I loved that shot.
Yeah, that last play looked really good, and the production on that was nuts.
Yeah,
dude. Yeah.
I mean, you could tell that Wes Anderson is putting on a play production there.
No,
he's got a talent for it though. Max was like, I enjoyed all the little little plays that we put on.
Awesome, like that would, I don't know, like I'm usually not one to truly care about plays or like want to go to a play, but like if that's what it's like, like oh no, if you need earplugs and some safety goggles for a play,
right.
that's
he's
pretty
gonna
badass.
burn this place down.
He's
Yeah,
got
he is.
sticks of dynamite, like, I don't know, he's, make sure those don't get wet, or whatever. Just trust a first grader to handle 10
Dynamite.
sticks of dynamite. Yeah, just
Oh,
amazing. But yeah, no, that last scene was so good. And I guess probably is my favorite scene overall, but that's more of what the shot is kind of putting that nod towards, is like when everyone's all together, it's the happy resolution. And I guess Bill Murray's still having to deal with a divorce, and is Miss Cross, like, what is she doing now? Like,
I think I'm assuming she's just getting another.
that's
What's that?
she had like her own little school, right? Like, in like,
Mhm.
it was like very, I don't know, it was really cute, and like it like I forgot about that part. Whenever she was like, when Max went to go find her, and she was so like, you didn't come to the aquarium, like, we thought you would really be there. And she's like, well, I didn't ask for anyone to build me an aquarium, like, it's just it like the whole dynamic of the two guys that are doing absolutely everything for the girl, but like, they just should ask themselves, like, should we even be doing this in the first place? Like,
Does she want this?
Even care? Yeah, like that's not in their minds at all. It's just that
Nope.
they have to one up each other, and they're trying to get her back, and but no, this funny, but like real at this, like, I don't know. It's always crazy how
It always resonates, man.
Yeah, really gets you to think. But
Yeah, no, but my favorite character is actually going to be Miss Cross, Olivia Williams as Cross. Come through, or was that choppy?
a little, yeah. But now
Okay,
you're good.
I'm gonna repeat it. My favorite character is Olivia Williams as Miss Cross. I loved her in this role. She put on a hell of a performance, and I think she's easily the most likable character. She doesn't go on like the same journey Max does or anything, but from beginning to end, she never does anything that I'm like, I don't know about that Miss Cross. Like, I'm like, no, she's cool. She's cool beginning to end. I know she puts on the whole, she does sleep with a married man, but that's like, I don't like, that's his fault, not hers, I think.
Yeah, no, that's doesn't fall on her really.
Yeah.
I mean, she's just looking for anything, she doesn't like, it's very interesting where she doesn't like want to put herself out there, because she's still holding on to Ed Appleby, or whatever, but then at the same time, like, she realizes that she is lonely, and like having this company is really nice. So like, yeah, it's not like she's not thinking like, oh, I'm gonna ruin this married man's relationship at all.
No, it's not spiteful.
No, yeah, no, and I don't know. She seemed like a very good teacher. All the painting with the kids outside. And was, I don't know, seemed just, well, apparently was the best teacher that they had there. And I could
The
see
best, like that little scene whenever they're sitting in the library and she runs out of lemonade and he immediately fills it up, and then her pen won't keep writing and he immediately has a replacement, and she's like, this isn't going to go anywhere, right? And he's like, hey, I didn't say nothing, man. It's weird that you brought that up so bluntly, like, that's,
he's sharpen his pencil too. He's like,
yeah,
like, interrupts her.
He starts talking, that's, that's a contender too. That's one of my favorite scenes in this movie as well. But just all her steadfastness and her insecurities and stuff. Like, she's, I like Max a lot, but I've never met a kid like that. Like, she's the most real character in this movie for me. Like, in terms of like a person I feel like I could meet. It seems like Miss Cross is the most feasible in that regard. And she just seemed real, and I appreciated that. So I ended up going with her for my favorite character.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, it goes to my line. She was their Rushmore, and Bill Murray, he says that, she was, to make him understand, he's trying to get through and like to say something to make him understand and be okay with it, and she's my Rushmore, and I didn't know what I expected Max to say back. But then I know, like, she was mine too, It was just like after their sabotage montage, going on, and they have this moment, and then he pushes the tree over, and it falls over, and I don't know, it was just really, every emotional part that happens, there's always usually something funny that follows it pretty quickly. That like brings you back and I don't know, just that fun factor of the movie. But man, it can really get real out of nowhere. Like
It always does.
out of nowhere. But yeah, I love that line of just that. I felt like there was just I don't know. I felt like there was a line that I'm missing, but that was at least the one that like hit me on like the gut.
Oh no, yeah, like that was one that when I watched it, I was like, well, that's going to be a top contender for both me and Joseph, so I better go with something else.
Yeah, that
I was like, I know we'll touch on it at the very least. So, because that's undoubtable. It hits like a ton of bricks at that point because there's a lot of movie whenever they meet each other, Herman and Max, and he's like, "What's the secret? What?
Yeah.
What do you have figured out? You seem like you've got it figured out, man." And he's like, "The secret, I don't know. I think that you just find something that you love to do, and then you do it for the rest of your life. And I love Rushmore, And for him to recontextualize that moment and go like, she is my Rushmore. Like that's what it is calling back to, is that specific moment. And for him to be like, yeah, she was mine too, is like I couldn't give less of a fuck about that school anymore, man. Like that's where I'm at, It just shows where they are in comparison to where they were at the beginning of the movie. And it's it seems very plain, like, she's my Rushmore, but that's a loaded line, that delivers on a lot of levels, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it was definitely the one that hit me on the gut feeling. I think the other one might have been the first, like whenever he actually said like, "What's your secret?" And he said, "You just gotta find something you love doing," But I think it envelops that. You're right. It was calling back to that conversation. So I'll stick with it. I don't think
I support that. I support that.
Else. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that my favorite line is maybe one day, maybe we'll meet again someday when all the fighting stops, and it kind of lets both Herman and Miss Cross know that he knows this isn't going to work out, Like, I get that. And I hope one day y'all can forgive me for that, for everything, and for hopefully we can be friends again. Maybe we'll meet again someday, when all this settles down. And, after the play they do, and I really appreciated that, the peace offerings there, Margaret getting introduced, I haven't had a chance to dance with your new girlfriend or anything. And he's like, and she's like, yes, I am. Hilarious moment. Loved that. More I talk about it, man, the more I just like really, really, really liked this movie.
Yeah, it came together just so nicely at the end. Like there's something about having everything so fucked up. Like everyone was going just through it at one point, and then just having everything wrap itself up in a pretty little bow at the end. It's like it's so satisfying.
I'm always gonna eat that shit up.
Yeah, and I don't know, a perfect, he always kind of has a medium in his movies, and this one's not, not as direct as the other ones, but he has a lot of plays. He, like Max speaks, that's how he like kind of gets a lot of his emotions across is through his plays and stuff. And I guess we only got to see one really in detail, but
we saw that the mob play that he put on earlier in the movie, a little segment of that.
That's true. Oh gosh!
And then we saw them rehearsing for one that was in very poor taste over at Grover Cleveland.
Yeah, not good. But he got into Rushmore off of a play. He wrote a play, and that's how he got in there. I wish we could see, whatever that was.
Well, he got into Rushmore when he was like Dirk's age. He's been going there since he was like a first or second grader. Yeah. So like the idea that he wrote a play when he was that young that got him into Rushmore is like, this is kind of what that kid does. So like, I like that. I liked that angle a lot, but, man, I don't know. Do you think it might be time for a rating?
I think it is. Yeah. This will be interesting to see where it falls though. 'Cause lowest enjoyment that we've ever given, is to Royal Tenenbaums, and that's at an 8.5. And
I gotta say that my floor is at 8.75. That's a bare fucking minimum for me.
It's better. It is. I did enjoy it better. And then the next lowest is 9.5. Looks like, or 9.25 with Isle of Dogs. So it's definitely in between there. Yeah.
9 with Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Oh. That is true. We did give a 9. Okay. I'd say I probably enjoy Fantastic Mr. Fox. Maybe on the same level here, actually.
I think there's that thing about Fantastic Mr. Fox that is so pleasing to the eye and pleasing to the ear, and everything comes together in a way that it is so easy to watch, you know? I know I watched this movie twice today in back-to-back sittings, so clearly there's an ease to this as well, but if I am going to throw something on casually, it probably will be Fantastic Mr. Fox, but I don't know if it's by a whole lot. I think I would be comfortable giving this a 9. But
I think it's either 9 or 8.75.
8.75, I can't shake that feels more right.
It does. It does feel a little right. Yeah. Just that little bump above the Royal Tenenbaums, it feels a lot more right than it feels weird to say that this is on the same level as Fantastic Mr. Fox. I feel like I'm kind of stretching there to put it up there, but okay. And
I certainly don't think it's on the same level as Fantastic Mr. Fox quality-wise.
No, not quite.
It's really well written. It's really well performed. The soundtrack is fantastic. That might be the only thing I think it has up on Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yeah, I mean, I think the closest comparison is Royal Tenenbaums, and I think that does make sense. We gave that an 8 critically, and I'd say that's probably it's either it is an 8 or it's less than an 8.
Yeah, no, because I think overall Royal Tenenbaums is probably a better performed movie. It had every bit as good the needle drops and the music in the movie. It was extremely well written.
I think it has to be lower than an 8. It's either I don't think I could put it on the same level as Royal Tenenbaums.
Okay, all right.
That story hits different. I'm actually
Well, the thing for me is now that we have rated everything else, I almost feel wrong about having given Royal Tenenbaums an 8 in the first place. And I don't want to change that necessarily, but every time I go back and look at that rating, I feel like we started this project with the idea of being a little bit more critical than we were going to be. We ended up being very, very nice to a lot of movies. And they're deserving of that. And I think Royal Tenenbaums was deserving of that as well. But I do believe you're right. I do think this isn't quite as good as Royal Tenenbaums. I do think I enjoyed it more. But I don't think it was quite as good. And
barely. 7.75 would be.
7.75 would be.
I'm not going 7 or all the way down there. If it's not an 8, it's a 7.75, and that's.
I'm with you. I'll go 7.75. That's perfectly okay with me.
Okay, well that'll round it out to be an 81%, 8.08. So yeah, I think. That a little bit below Royal Tenenbaums actually overall.
Yeah, it's the weight on the critical.
Yeah, that's true.
Ends up coming into play there, and at an 81%, I feel pretty good about it though. That does feel about right. That's a good movie. That's a really good movie.
Yeah, it's still
I've called 8 out of 10 a great movie. That's kind of how I consider my 1 to 10 rating system. An 8 is great. A 9 is fantastic. So
IMDb gives it a 7.6, and Rotten Tomatoes a 90% critically and 91% audience score.
Very beloved movie, but again, want to remind everyone what the Rotten Tomatoes score is. That doesn't mean it is a 9 out of 10 film. It means 90% of critics gave it a generally fresh rating.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, that I don't know that.
And at 81%, it'd be fresh.
I don't really feel like a lot of people come away being like, "Oh, I hated this movie." I don't know how you can. I don't know. It's just it's
a generally enjoyable movie.
Oh yeah. There's nothing really to gripe about. Maybe if you had more of his visual focus, more of this movie, it'd be really interesting to see him make this movie today.
Even so, I don't it's it's a different kind of movie than he comes to create later on, you know? Like, I don't know that I would necessarily want it to be made in the same way The French Dispatch is made, because then I think I'd get kind of, you know, the reason The French Dispatch works that way is because that's kind of, the story itself lends itself to that visual sensibility, you know? And I think, like, the Grand Budapest Hotel is so grand and so epic that it does kind of lend itself to that sort of visual sensibility. This is a small story, you know. It is more in the vein of Moonrise Kingdom, which did have that style, but it was definitely not to the level Grand Budapest or French Dispatch did. It was more free flowing in its kind of in its visual sensibility. So I think it kind of required that. I don't think I necessarily want it to be done the same way those are done, but
yeah, I guess I don't know really what I would change, actually, you know, or like how, if he were to make this today, like what would he do different at all? And I think maybe like making making it a play, like Act 1, so, you know, or something that could be pretty cool. Like maybe that's how
he makes it framed like a stage production. That could be really cool.
But I don't know. I think that the free flowingness and like making it more just kind of like a natural movie, it
works for this.
Yeah,
you know?
like this story. So
yeah, and I mean, this is, like I said, I don't know if I said this off mic earlier. This is definitely a stepping stone. You know, like Bottle Rocket, you get even less of that visual sensibility out of Bottle Rocket. You know, it's very, very, he was having fun making a movie with some dudes he likes.
Yeah, it's kind of, this is how Wes is establishing himself as like a real movie
slowly
maker.
builds it, you know, and Bottle Rocket is damn good and damn funny, by the way. Like, you thought Rushmore was funny. I think Bottle Rocket's funnier. And I'm very excited for that, because I do believe my dad's going to actually join us for that one. It'll be his first time back since Howard the Duck. So that'll be
Bottle Rocket and Howard the Duck. That's, I don't know. I haven't seen Bottle Rocket yet. I don't know which one he likes better. But I don't know. I
can assure you he likes Bottle Rocket more.
Okay.
But yeah, that'll be a fun one. I'm very excited for that. I did want to ask, do you want to do? I've told you that in the future we were gonna talk about what actors or actresses you might want to see in a Wes Anderson movie in the future. Right. Do you think you have the capability of rattling off the top of your head in this moment, or should we hold that off until next time with Bottle Rocket?
It would be just kind of front brain guesses and like kind of instincts. I guess I haven't really given it a whole lot of thought. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe if you have a few, I don't know, maybe it'll spark some.
I'll give you one. I'll give you one that I've been like, oh, I would just love to see that.
I think
don't know why, don't know what it is, but I feel like John C. Reilly would fit very, very well in a Wes Anderson setting.
Yes, I'm terrible with actors' names, but he's good enough. Like, I don't know.
Step Brothers and
more specifically
his drama work is very, very good.
He would be perfect in a Wes Anderson movie.
Yeah, he would.
The guy who popped up in my mind was Andrew Garfield.
Ooh, I would love to see him in one of these.
I think I just like Andrew Garfield just as an actor, just in general. Not necessarily that he'd be a perfect fit for a Wes Anderson movie. Just I want to see him in more stuff, just in general.
Yeah.
But no, John C. That's more of the right answer for like that kind of question, though. Like,
right. So yeah, that's kind of the vibe I'm going for, is like to capture someone you feel would just like, maybe, because John C. Reilly is far from one of my favorite actors of all time. By all means, I love him to death. But Andrew Garfield, that's top 2 for me. I love Andrew Garfield.
He's that.
So
guy.
Like, I was thinking like deep into the bag. Like, who can you see? Like you're just like, oh, that guy would fit. He's there. I see it. You know. I can see John C. Reilly hard.
Yeah, because I'm thinking of like comedians and like kind of funnier actors now that you're saying like Will Ferrell just doesn't quite, doesn't
quite do it. Yeah,
doesn't quite do, like he's funny but wouldn't fit the style really. Yeah, no, I'll have to think about that. Maybe Bottle Rocket. I'll come with
spark a little bit more. But yeah, that's
one until Asteroid City. So
that's the last one, baby. It's gonna be fun.
Crazy. That is crazy that we're already almost done.
Yeah, I mean that'll be our 12th movie
Man,
for Wes Anderson.
let's go.
Or
Yeah.
10th
10?
movie.
Is it 10?
10th.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man. I hope he creates movies for his whole life. He's kind of young, right? He's got a lot.
50s.
He's got a lot more life in him. And
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's been conversations with Martin Scorsese recently where he's been like Martin Scorsese plans on making movies until the day he dies. He recently said something at Cannes where he talked about a presentation of an award, like a Lifetime Achievement Award to Akira Kurosawa, that was presented by him, George Lucas, Francis Ford Coppola, and Steven Spielberg. They all got on stage together and presented that to Akira Kurosawa. And amidst his speech, he said something about how he's already reached such acclaim, but the older he gets, he only now realizes just what he could do with movies and with cinema and with film. And he didn't have a lot of time left to do that. And Martin was talking about how he didn't understand that until now. And he's like,
Wow.
I have so many stories to tell, but I don't have the time to tell those stories, so he's gonna.
An accomplished man like that saying that is insane. Like what he's already done, and then he's like, I still have so much to tell. Is like that.
No, and it's almost scary to think about the day that we lose the likes of Scorsese and Spielberg and guys like that. Like, who do we have successors to guys like that? Is that even a thing? And they'll probably naturally present themselves, but that's why you just got to appreciate the art while they're here. That's why I'm so excited to see Wes Anderson's newest one here in a week, or less than a week now, release date wise. And see Killers of the Flower Moon later this year, and just kind of revel in the beauty of these filmmakers. I'm so excited for that. So we got a lot of great filmmakers with a lot of stories left to tell. So I'm very excited for the future of film here. But at an 81%, Rushmore rounds out. Do you have any last thoughts?
I think that might be it. Yeah, I don't know. Don't really think I have anything else for it.
All right, then that sounds good. We'll conclude this episode then. If you would, head to patreon.com/PennyBloomPod, where you'll find over 50 hours of exclusive content, including relatively recently, me and Joseph had a conversation about the ramifications of artificial intelligence in the art community, and how that is disturbing, to say the least. For $3 a month, you can support this podcast financially by signing up over there at patreon.com/PennyBloomPod. You'll get a bunch of written content. You'll get a bunch of book reviews, movie reviews, comic book reviews, and the like. Joseph inspired me a little bit earlier today to try and get into a little bit more of like a short story, fictional sort of writing. So I'm gonna give that a shot. I've got one I've already started working on, and I'm very excited about, and I'm probably gonna sign off the podcasting back to work on it. So I'm very excited about that. And again, that's patreon.com/PennyBloomPod. Who knows? Maybe Joe will be sending me something soon to go ahead and throw up over there. I'm very excited for it.
I'm nervous. Not gonna lie.
Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Well, at the very least, if you want input, we can refine it. We can figure it out. We can collaborate. That's what the written medium is. I plan on sending mine to you before I publish it. You get your input and stuff. It's a collaborative process, writing, or it can be, and it should be. But at patreon.com/PennyBloomPod, that's where you'll find that. Head to Twitter, follow at PennyBloomPod, follow on Instagram at PennyBloomPodcast. Remember to leave a 5-star rate and review wherever it is that you might be listening. Tune back in this Friday for Bottle Rocket. Tune in next Wednesday for Asteroid City. We're getting there, baby. It's time, and I'm fucking ready for it. But Winter is Blooming is continuing. Game of Thrones rewatch, that's on Mondays. Very excited about that. If you're a Game of Thrones fan, you got to be checking that out with us. With that, I was Colton Robertson, and I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And remember, peace, love, and bloom. And I guess you've just got to find something you love to do and then do it for the rest of your life.